Alright, we are live. Hey guys, you know, I'm actually going to just do. There we go, just bring it down just a bit. I'm always looking for the next interesting shot to film in. I feel like if I have an interesting background that hasn't really been seen before, I'll have something to capture your interest. Hey, one person watching, hello. So, yeah, and I'm not going to be walking around out there because it is raining. Oh my goodness. It was raining pretty hard today here in Utah. We even had hail while I was at work. There was a big, huge rainstorm that thankfully cleared up. Some people waited inside the store to wait it out. And then later on this afternoon after work, we had even more rain and bigger hail. Anyways, so I'm going to tell you guys about a commercial that I think is funny really quickly. The commercial is for Hulu. They are a streaming service much like Netflix, although Hulu has a different set of shows. And I'm not sure if they have any shows that Netflix also has, but Hulu does have some of their originals. You know, like Netflix originals? Well, they've got Hulu originals too. And I've seen a few things on Hulu. Big thing about Hulu is you can watch stuff for free with ads. Not all of it, but a lot of it. So I believe Hulu has Voltron on there, I'm not sure. I haven't watched that in a while. Anyways, so the commercial is pretty funny. You've got a dad and his 5-year-old son. They're sitting on the couch, got full of popcorn, sitting on the table, not being eaten. They're watching Curious George. You can hear it in the background, and I think they do show a small segment of it. They're watching Curious George, and the little kid starts falling asleep. So, his dad changes the channel up to the news. And all of a sudden, the kid wakes up. So he quickly changes the channel back to Curious George, and the kid is like, doesn't say anything, but he's like, what just happened? Nothing. Still Curious George. And then he drifts off back to sleep. And it's an ad for Hulu. I don't know what, the point of that is. I guess that Hulu has lots of different kinds of content. I don't know. TV has that too. But, there was one thing in particular that got me remembering about these two problems, which I forgot in the last one. And these still aren't the one that I forgot in the last video I did on 2 TV show problems. Go check it out if you haven't seen it already. It is a Let's Talk Like This. There was one about Arthur, something to do with him eating cake. I forget what that one was, but this one I remembered because in that commercial you have a line from Curious George where the man in the yellow hat says, "I'm so glad you're a monkey." And that got me thinking, monkey, why would he say that, And I mean, I've never really heard anybody say, "I'm so glad you're a dog," or "I'm so glad you're a bird." I've just never heard that before. But at the same time, in Curious George's case, because he's a monkey, as they always say when they switch over to real life young kids doing things within the show. I used to watch this quite a bit. It's actually a very cute show that I would definitely watch again. Even some of my friends who, all of us were all very much so old enough to not be watching Curious George anymore, they said that it was cute and they liked it. I liked the movie. So, that being said, as they say, whenever they jump to some clips of real kids doing experiments and learning in real life, George is a monkey, so he can do things you can't do. So, yes, George is a monkey. So, that could be very well why the man in the yellow hat is saying things that, he saying that. Because he's grateful that he is a monkey. So, now on to the 2 problems with these things. And for me, I let a lot of stuff slide. There is suspension of disbelief. But these 2 things are just a little bit too much. And I'm trying to decide which one to start with. Yeah, I think I'm going to start with this one. So, the episode starts, I don't remember which season and which episode. You guys could Google this to find it if you want to watch them. So the episode, I believe, started out. It's been years since I've seen these. It started out with Curious George being really interested in a construction site, and they were building a new building for Mr. Glass. He is the fancy, super expensive businessman of the Curious George world. He is always up to something expensive and wondrous, just awe-inspiring. He's I was gonna say he's like Trump, but he's not like Trump. No, I mean as far as businessman goes, yes, the same class of businessman, but the attitude is completely different. Mr. Glass is 1,000 times nicer than Trump, and it's a kid show, so I mean, kind of obvious, yeah. Especially if it's gonna, he's not a bad guy. He's just another character in the wonderful world of Curious George. So he's building this new building, and George is interested in the construction site. And just being around kind of sort of gets in the way just a little bit. And so the man with the yellow hat has to tell him not to go back to the construction site, And I think they kind of sort of do recognize that he's interested in it, and not trying to be like a bother, but he kind of is. And so, would you please go away, George? So, of course he does. Then they're going to have waffles for breakfast one morning. And the man with the yellow hat asks him to go to the store and get some blueberries because they ran out of blueberries. Can't have waffles without your blueberries. Which, for me personally, I don't even like blueberries. Just give me that maple syrup, please. So anyways, George has some money. I think they represented it by just a dollar bill. I'm not sure. But he's on his way to the store. And, also on the construction site, there have been some weird and strange noises going on, and they're not sure what. So they kind of stop work for the day and evacuate the site so that they can kind of check things out or have somebody come and check it out and figure out what's going on. So George is going by the construction site with the money, and something happens. I believe there's a cat. I think the cat's name is Gnocchi. This cat is this cat's owner is a French chef. I'm going too into detail. I know the show really well. Italiano. But so, Gnocchi, the cat, I think ends up messing with the dollar bill and getting it ripped in half. And then somewhere along there, there's also a pigeon. I forget the pigeon's name, but the pigeon is friends with George. And the bill ends up blowing on the construction site, the half of it anyways, and he has to go and get it from there. And this whole crazy event things happens where it ends up landing in a concrete mixer, and he tries to get it out, and then he tries to wash it off, and that doesn't work, and so it gets stuck in some concrete, and so he tries to jackhammer it out, and he does eventually get the half of the bill back, but not before some people have showed up and found out that he's there. But within this whole process of the thing, he's ended up kind of sort of discovering what's going on the site and found some water that was underground that was causing problems. And so up until this point, the story's been, okay, I'm totally fine with this. It is a little bit absurd, but I'm willing to stretch my imagination and say that George did attempt to do all these things to get the half of the dollar back so he could get blueberries for breakfast. And that he did meddle with the construction site in such a way. I'm totally fine with that. But the real problem is, after he's discovered what's wrong and the people are there, you've got this building that's shaping up to be a tall skyscraper with glass windows on every side, looking... For the Curious George world, it is a pretty beautiful, magnificent building. For our world, it's one of the nicer buildings, we'll just say. So, because of the water problem, you've got this nice tall skyscraper that all of a sudden... it just twists and turns. And so, if you ever taken... I wish I had something to demonstrate this with. But you take a tall rectangular something, and you twist the top and make it lean over a bit. So now it's kind of got a twisty going up to a point, almost looks like a pyramid, but not. You can go look up the episode if you want to see what this thing looks like. But it does that, which obviously, okay, in real life, okay, we got serious problems here. We gotta, demolish this thing and build on either a different site or fix the water problem and then rebuild the whole thing again. This is gonna be super expensive. Do we want to even finish this building now? And Mr. Glass says, I love it. Let's leave it that way. Oh my goodness, that's just too much for me, okay? That is not safe. Look, if in real life, if that happened and you actually liked how the building looked after being morphed, 1,000 to 1 chance that you could make it stable and safe, modifying the existing messed up structure, okay? If you actually liked that shape, you would have to go back to the drawing board. Somebody would have to redesign the whole thing, and then you would tear down the existing messed up structure and start over from almost square one. Like, seriously. That bugs me. No, that... it's not something I think about every day. It's not something that makes me angry, but it does bother me, and it's a problem with the TV show that I think it just, no. Now, the other problem with the TV show is, so, story is that George has been out playing around in the mud in the park and whatnot, getting messy. Because, in the Cary Stewart universe, they've got, they spend most of their time in an apartment in the city, and the man in the video has worked there and stuff. But then they also, I really like this about the show, then they also spend lots of time in their country house out in the country, having fun with, all of their country friends and whatnot. It's really cool. So, anyways, in the city, and he's gotten a bit dirty, and he needs to take a bath. And man, the other really wants him to. He's like, you're dirty, you need to take a bath, okay? Make sure you take your bath, George. Something like that. But, he can't because the water's not running. Oh, and when they were in the country, he learned about a well. And how if you dig down deep enough, you'll find some water. And then, you rig a pump to it, and the pump works like this, and pumps the water up, and so you can have water for washing. So, the water's not working, and it's going to be a long time before, and he actually tries to poke around inside of the apartment building's water system area. And I think he might have accidentally caused a problem there. Might have caused a little bit of water flooding down there or something. Or something caused it, and he was somehow involved. And that part was okay. And so, but then he goes looking for water, okay, right? Because he needs to take a bath. He's dirty. So, hey, another person's back again. I don't know if it's the same person or not, but anyways, hello. So, anyways, the person, so he's looking for water. And he remembers to dig down, you'll find water. So he goes and grabs a shovel, and he starts digging outside to find water. And he's digging on just like, out in front of a building where they have a small patch of grass in between the road and the sidewalk, and there's like a tree and maybe a bush on it. He's digging there, outside in front of his apartment building in the city. So he's digging, does more digging, and then finally he does find a little bit of water that starts building up in the tiny little hole that he's dug with the shovel. Now, how to get it to the bathtub, which is multiple stories up, like at least 5 stories high. So what he does is he goes and he grabs a hose, and he puts the hose in the bathtub. And then he drops the hose out the window down to the hole. And the next thing that he needs to do is he grabs his special straw, because that's going to act as a nozzle type thing on the end of the hose. And to hold it on, because it fits in the hole, but it's a little bit too big, so to hold it on, he gets some duct tape. And he wraps the duct tape around his special nozzle. And then he puts it inside of the hole with water, which is really more like a puddle. Just a little bit of water, like maybe a cup of water. He puts it in there, and the water goes up the straw and into the bathtub. Still not enough water, though, and he needs to find out how to get more water. And the story ends where George actually saves the day because of him digging there. He had discovered that there was a leaky pipe outside of the apartment complex that was causing everybody to not have water because all the water was leaking out of that pipe. And so they get everything fixed and stuff. But my problem is he just puts it in the water. Now, it would be possible if you had some sort of a pump on the other end or a siphon type of thing to siphon the water out of the hole. But no, he doesn't siphon anything at all. He just duct tapes his special straw to the end of the hose. It's a reusable straw, by the way, like a plastic one. That's like a solid plastic one, okay? And I think it even has an animal on it or something, you know. But he just tapes it to the end of the hose, garden hose, and just sticks it in the puddle, and the water goes up 5 stories. No, I'm sorry, that's not how gravity works. I think George has even discussed gravity at one point. Seriously, whoever wrote that episode, I'm not really gonna say be fired, but change that somehow. Have George get a cup and scoop the water into the cup. Also, you haven't even explained how the water's not dirty from the hole that he just made there, because it would be dirty. I would be okay with accepting that, you know, because maybe the water came up and the dirt was really solid, so it didn't get dirty, or he let it, what's the word? He let it, like, settle down a bit, you know, not shown in the show, but it settled, and he was able to skim off the top the clean water, and then he carried it up with a cup or something. I would accept that. But, no, yeah, and I think him getting a pump would be also a little bit too ridiculous and stretching it, but no, so I'm not saying that the person should be fired or anything, whoever wrote these 2 episodes. I'm just saying that something needs to be changed about it, because this is a bit too much. Anyways, if you guys haven't seen the original one, I'm going to have that linked in the description as soon as this goes live, after, you know, when YouTube finishes processing the finalized archived version. If it's not there, let me know. And you guys can also find it. Just search LT, 2 TV show problems, Cool Shows 101, you'll find it. But I will have it linked in the description below. 2 other TV show problems, one of which involves building a sandcastle under the water. That's all. I pretty much spoiled the problem. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. So if you enjoyed this, and you just like me talking, I know I'm a bit rambly, but you like my thoughts and what I have to say, like the video and get subscribed. There's more Let's Talks to come. If any part of this at all interested you, or maybe it didn't, I would highly recommend just taking one more look at my channel, please. I have other stuff that's not just me talking. Go check that out. Some short films and other fun family-friendly stuff. I'll see you guys in whatever's next. Bye!